For most of us, debt feels like a parasite, slowly consuming our finances. But what if debt could be the very tool to unlock wealth? Well, the world's richest people have already figured out how to make money with their debt. And after analyzing their financial strategies, I'm here to show you exactly how you can adopt those methods and forever change your financial future. But first, what is the traditional view of debt? Well, if you listen to finance influencers like Dave Ramsey, debt is something to be terrified of, something that will completely destroy your life. On the other end of the spectrum, someone like finance influencer Robert Kiyosaki has $1.2 billion in debt and believes it can be a great tool for generational wealth. But it's not just influencers. If you take a personal finance course or watch finance YouTube, you'll probably learn about this: the debt to income ratio. Here's how it works. You add up all your monthly debt payments, including things like your mortgage, car loan, credit card debts, and student loans. Things like your groceries, childcare, and other monthly expenses don't count, since those aren't considered debt. Then take your debt and divide it by your monthly income before taxes and multiply it by 100. This is your ratio. Most of these financial courses will tell you you need a debt to income ratio of under 30% if you want to be financially healthy. The problem is, Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men in history, probably has a debt-to-income ratio over 1,000%. So let's look at how billionaires like Jeff Bezos use debt, and then get into how you can steal their strategies and apply it to your own life. Did you know that for 20 years, Bezos had a salary of just $80,000? And no, I'm not kidding. Look, this is real. But he isn't one of the top 5 richest people in the world because of his salary. Instead, it's thanks to his shares of Amazon stock, which are valued at over $200 billion. Now, for most of us who invest in the stock market, we either have cash and exchange it for shares of stock, or we take shares of stock and sell them for cash. But for billionaires, they rarely sell their shares at all. Why? Because they can actually save money by taking on debt instead. Here's how it works. Jeff walks on down to the bank and says, "Hey, I would like a loan for $1 million. The bank says, "Okay, we will give you the money, but you need to put something on the line in case you don't pay it back." Jeff says, "Cool, I'm rich. I'll offer up $2 million in Amazon stock as collateral if I can't pay off this loan." Well, this seems like a lot. He knows he will pay back the loan and isn't worried about losing his shares. The banks are fond of Mr. Bezos, and he's a low-risk customer, so he gets a really low interest rate of just 5%. Meaning at 5% interest, he will pay $50,000 in interest for the loan for 1 year. To put things into perspective on why it's better for him to pay a loan versus sell stock, if he sold $1 million in stock, he would actually have to pay around $200,000 in taxes. By leveraging his existing assets like his Amazon shares to get a loan, and assuming he pays back the loan in just a year, he saved himself $125,000. And he still gets to keep his Amazon stock. But people like Jeff aren't just using debt to save money, they're also using it to make money. Because the ultra-rich like Jeff are taking these loans and investing them, usually in real estate or index funds. So for real estate purchases, instead of spending a huge amount of cash to buy a property outright, they'll take out a 30-year mortgage at a low interest rate. In some cases, that rate might be as low as 2%. From there, they can keep the cash they would have tied up in the property and invest that into something like the S&P 500, which averages around 8% per year in returns. That 6% difference means that over 30 years, a $1 million investment could grow to roughly $5.7 million, allowing them to live in a house, pay it off, and still have millions left to play with. Of course, Bezos is a lot more financially comfortable than the average person. And you're probably thinking, how does any of this apply to me? Well, you can implement the exact same tactics as Jeff, maybe just on a smaller scale. But what if you can't implement the tactics we're about to talk about, and you just need a loan to escape a financial emergency or to consolidate debt you already have? Well, you're not alone. We all start somewhere, and if you're in a pinch, get a loan from CreditNinja, which has helped over 275,000 people with personal loans, even those with less than ideal credit scores. The most important takeaway, even more important than the tax loopholes or turning debt into cash, is understanding that the rich put their debt into 2 separate camps: good debt and bad debt. Good debt is debt that helps improve future income potential. Things like a property mortgage, a business loan, or a student loan. If you buy a home and the value of the home goes up over time, so does your net worth. A student loan means a college degree, increasing your chances of getting a high-paying job, and understanding how much good debt you have is going to be very important later when we're implementing Jeff's strategies. Bad debt is debt that prevents you from increasing your future wealth. Car loans, payday loans, or credit card debt. Most of us have bad debt, so don't worry, it's normal. Of course, Jeff Bezos doesn't have a lot of bad debt. But here's why we need to pay off our bad debt as soon as possible to then use good debt. For example, credit cards have interest rates between 20 and 30%. There isn't a single investment in the world that comes close to consistently growing 20% year after year. The average American has over $7,000 in credit card debt, which means you're paying thousands in interest payments, and it's hurting your credit score, which makes it harder to get good debt loans with better interest rates. If you have a ton of credit card debt, check out our video on the 4 best strategies to get rid of credit card debt fast. But what if you're under the ideal debt ratio? How can you leverage your existing debt or start making money with new debt? If you're financially healthy enough to get a loan from a bank, you can either start a business, buy real estate, or even invest in the stock market. These types of investments allow banks to give you collateralized loans, just like the ones Jeff Bezos uses when he wants a loan backed by his Amazon stock. Now, starting a business, buying real estate, and investing in the stock market all come with risk, especially if you're not a billionaire with access to super low interest loans. But if you're willing to take the risk, here's what you need to know. First, you need to be making a lot more than your loan payment will cost you. This is what's known as the interest coverage ratio, which tells you how much you're making compared to how much your loans and interest are costing you. A good rule of thumb is that you should earn at least 2 to 3 times the annual interest expense on your startup loan. So, if your annual interest expense is $50,000, aiming for $100,000 or $150,000 would provide a safe cushion. If you're using your loan for real estate, you need to ensure that you have a reliable tenant that is paying enough to cover the monthly payments on time. For the stock market, the average rate of return on the best index funds is between 8 and 10% per year. So if the interest rate on your loan is above that, you'll lose money. But even if you have a perfect credit score, the average interest rate for a personal loan is between 10 and 13%. So for most, it wouldn't make sense to take on debt to invest the cash into the stock market. But how can you leverage the debt you already have, like your mortgage, your car loan, or your student loans? If you have a car loan, watch this video where we cover how to refinance it and how much car you can realistically afford. If you own a home, you could consider refinancing your mortgage, which at first sounds crazy, but say you're currently paying a 5% interest rate and you can refinance down to 3.5%. The extra cash you save each month can be reinvested into a side business or an investment portfolio. You could put it back into the home to increase its value, or even use it to pay down other higher interest debt. And you can do a similar thing with student loans, but instead of refinancing, you only cover the minimum payments and use any extra funds to invest. Let's say you have $100 saved at the end of the month. You have a student loan with a 4% interest rate. You can either put the money towards the loan, or you can take the money and invest in the stock market. If the stock market goes up 8%, then that $100 made more money. Now, all of these options are risky because the housing and stock market can crash. But if you've analyzed the risks, there is a huge opportunity to cover your financial situation forever. Debt is not something to feel hopeless about because it can be properly leveraged, turning a bad situation into a great one. If this video has been helpful, click the subscribe button. And if you're looking for a loan but don't have the best credit score, check out CreditNinja.com and learn more about their personal loans. Thanks for watching.